What a highly anticipated edition of Todd's Odds with our good friend Todd Fuhrman, our sports betting analyst. It's brought to you by FanDuel. You may notice that Todd is wearing a Season 2 Las Vegas Golden Knights season ticket holder gift jacket. He's feeling good, almost as good as Mitchell Marner is right now. Todd, you've got a new star player on your team. He's 60-1 to win the Hart Trophy next season. Will you take that bet?
I mean, Jay, people may call me a turncoat. I was all in on the Edmonton Oilers, but as soon as that Stanley Cup was handed out in Sunrise, that Oiler loyalty washed off of me like yesterday's dirty laundry, and we are back on the Golden Knights bandwagon. But I'm not running to the window to try and bet Mitchell Marner at 60-1. However, I do wonder if he'd like to wear the red retro in his quest for a Hart Trophy.
Oh, wow.
Maybe the glow-in-the-dark version that lasted for about 6 games as a member of the Vegas Golden Knights. So, look, we're going to roll out the red carpet for him. He's going to be playing on that top line with Jack Eichel and most likely Pavel Dorofeyev, and you hope he can replicate that 100-point performance. But if I'm making a case this far out for somebody to win the Hart Trophy, it's the man that was the leader in that race before he was shelved early in the season for the Minnesota Wild. I actually think 12-1 offers upside on Kirill Kaprizov, and have to imagine the Minnesota Wild would be smart to sign him to an extension sooner rather than later.
Yeah, it seems like that is very likely to happen. Now let's take a look, Todd, at the updated odds to win the Stanley Cup, according to FanDuel. And after re-signing their big 3 free agents, the Panthers are now the favorite. A week ago at this time, it was the Hurricanes. That had everyone baffled. The Golden Knights also jump into a tie for third with the addition of Mitchell Marner. The Panthers finally at the top of the Stanley Cup odds. Feels like odds makers finally have it right, doesn't it, Todd?
Yeah, look, Florida, I mean, Bill Zito deserves a golf clap for being able to bring back Aaron Ekblad, Brad Marchand, and Sam Bennett, getting them all to fit in under the salary cap. And I think the underrated move was trading for Daniil Tarasov as well, a player that the Florida Panthers have coveted for a while as a backup to Sergei Bobrovsky playing out the final year of his lucrative deal. You mentioned the Golden Knights, and we've seen their odds shorten from around 12-1 with the addition of Mitchell Marner, arguably the only team in the Western Conference that actually got better through free agency, adding a high-ticket item to the top of their top 6. And you look at the Oilers, in my opinion, they take a step back. The Dallas Stars do as well. And, Jay, much like you, I am still very confused about where this love comes in for the Carolina Hurricanes. They're a team in the Eastern Conference that still doesn't have a second-line center on their roster, nor a veteran defenseman in Brent Burns, who signed a 1-year deal with the Colorado Avalanche.
Yeah, Burns gone to Colorado. Let's go back to the Oilers, though, for a second. Judging by what you just said, despite the fact that the Oilers are tied with your Golden Knights for the third best odds to win the Stanley Cup next season, I take it that you're not as bullish on the Oilers as you were all of last season and in the postseason.
And not at all, not the way they're currently constructed. When you lose some of that grit and depth down the lineup in the form of Corey Perry on a short-term deal to the LA Kings, you trade Evander Kane to your division rival in the Vancouver Canucks, and Connor Brown signs a deal with the New Jersey Devils, I don't see how the Oilers see themselves being better right this minute than what they were coming up short in 6 games against the Florida Panthers. Yes, Andrew Mangiapane is a nice addition, but they didn't address the 800-pound gorilla in the room. And if they're going to run back the same tandem of netminders, I think this Oilers team is still flawed. And even a Pacific Division that takes a step down with the LA Kings doing something that I don't think anybody can explain. The last laugh in the entire NHL might be Rob Blake as he sits with his surfboard out there in Hermosa Beach.
Let's talk about the Toronto Maple Leafs, Todd. Not just the fact that they lost Mitchell Marner, but the fact that they open as 22-1 favorites to win the Stanley Cup next season after opening as 14-1 favorites to win the Stanley Cup at the beginning of last season. Do you think the Leafs have fallen off that much after the loss of Mitchell Marner?
I don't think they've fallen off that much, but I do think this roster is going to take some work throughout the season and the trade deadline. Maybe there's still a big splash. We know one key free agent waiting in the wings as we await to see where he'll ultimately land. But the one thing I will say about the Maple Leafs, we wonder how you replace 100-plus points of offensive production in Mitchell Marner, but this team is still stout on the blue line. I like what they have in net, and maybe they fit the mold more of what Craig Berube is looking for than anything else. This will be a team I think throughout the course of the year we'll be looking to bet them under their total on a nightly basis, but I think as currently constructed, they're not going to get me investing at them even at a number significantly higher than where they were at this time last year.
Awesome job as always, buddy. Todd will be back next week where we take part in our most exciting summer tradition, making Todd pick over-unders 8 weeks away from the National Football League season.